Dumela, Khwemora, Sawubona, Absheni, Mangwane Kanaka, Habari tsa Subuhi. Now these are some of the greetings we use in Africa. So today marks International Mother Language Day, and the aim is to preserve linguistic diversity and promote mother language or mother tongues, that's it. My guest is Gcina Mhlophe, who's the director of Gcina Masiko Arts and Heritage Trust, joining us from our Durban studio. Gcina, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. It is quite a frightening reality to know that actually they're saying that indigenous languages could actually be at a risk of extinction simply because it's not used enough.
Sawubona ninjani?
Siyaphila Gcina, ninjani?
Siyaphila. That's right. We don't say it only when we are greeting, but also when we are speaking to one another. The fact that there are these statistics that say indigenous languages, not only in South Africa, in different parts of the world or the African continent, are at a risk of disappearing. And the less spoken a language is, the more at risk it is of really going extinct. And that's really painful, but we still have the possibility of saving our languages. It's up to us to save the languages, to speak them, to celebrate them, to make sure that our children and their children's children will hear them, to hear the musicality, the magic, the power in our languages. It is up to us, really, more than saying we are at risk, we are at risk. We can say that a few hundred times, but if we do nothing about it, doesn't mean anything.
Now, let me ask you this. A lot of times, I mean, there are certain stereotypes in society and actually conversation, maybe one would say colonial conversation around the use of English, right? It's been an age-old tale around how English is presumed to be the language that one uses if they want, success or rising up the corporate arena, or English is the language of use. It's not a universal language, but rather it's the popular language, and in order for you to get far, you need to be able to be articulate. And maybe those are the sentiments we're sharing with our children.
These are the sentiments we are sharing with our children, but it is true in certain spaces if you need to go to a place where you need to speak English, but you don't have to lose your language in order to speak your language. We speak English, we speak several African languages. That doesn't make us less hip, less successful, it doesn't make us less important in the spaces that we hold. There are certain things you cannot say in English. English is a very difficult language, it's got no logic, and so let's speak the language in order to communicate with other people, but let's come back to our languages because of the richness of our languages. The more we repeat that it is better to speak a certain language, a colonial language, whether it's Portuguese or French or Spanish or English, it is us who repeat those things. And there's no reason then for the people of other races to try and learn our languages. Often they don't want to even say our names. They will, when you introduce yourself, your name is Gcina or Noku Gcina, they will say this, I will never be able to pronounce that. What's your other name? So it starts there with a name. It starts with a greeting. How difficult is it to say Molo, Kunjani, Diapila, Enkosi, to say Dumela, Ogai. So all of our languages, it's up to us to make sure that we honor them, we celebrate them, we make them feel good.
If it's us that are not the ones that are actually encouraging the use and the speaking of our mother tongues or our African languages, particularly in the home context and even in our social circles, does that mean that, in essence, in your opinion, that we are colonized at some level?
We are recolonizing ourselves. Now there's no apartheid government that says to us we must not speak our languages. We are recolonizing ourselves. You know, when we say emancipate yourself from mental slavery, that's what's grabbing South Africa right now. We are grabbed, we are caught in this thing of mental slavery, of saying that we need to speak these languages with this fake American accent, I don't know from which state. It is up to us then to speak the language and speak it well, yes, to be able to speak and be understood by those who do not speak our mother tongues. But when we speak our languages, let us enjoy our languages. Because when you speak a language that you really know, we say, Ulimi lebele, the language, you suck but from your mother's breast. When you speak that language, you say exactly what you mean. And if we choose not to speak these languages in the home context, in our own home, we are robbing our children of the richness of their heritage.
Do you think that's the reason why we become so slow in being able to implement policy around the use of the mother language and different languages, especially when it comes to the education context, which is the most important sector, especially when it comes to growing the young minds?
The fact that we wait for one day in the year to call it a mother tongue day, something is wrong right there. We need to speak our languages on a daily basis, and it is one of the reasons why we are so slow in implementing laws that say languages, even if we say 11 or 12 languages are official languages, that's just in the paper. In reality, it's very rare that you are able to find assistance in official spaces or in the corporate space or in the economic circles to be able to find that information in your mother tongue. If you arrived at the stock exchange, you said, oh, you're going to speak only Sepedi. Who's going to answer you? Who's going to say all of these things? The economic language, the language of business in Sepedi or in isiXhosa or Chivenda. So it is important then to just be clear, let's be honest with one another, that yes, it is supposedly the 12 official languages, including sign language, and there are other languages that are left out as well of the first peoples of this country, the Khoi and the San people. But I'm saying it's never too late. Even though you've taken a detour and derailed, you can always come back to the main road where you needed to go.
Gcina Mhlophe, we're going to leave it there for now. Thanks a lot for joining us, shedding some light in terms of the significance of the usage of our mother tongues or our mother languages in celebration of International Mother Language Day. But